So I started medical school in Germany. Germany has a very strange system, and at that time it was relatively easy to get into medical school, but then they do everything to get you out of medical school. It was the opposite as it is in the States. It has changed now, but it's very abusive from the get-go. When I was a medical student, there was something wrong in the system that they overcalculated, and there were 10,000 unemployed physicians in Germany. There were a lot of physicians, taxi drivers, and so on. And so the typical position you got at that time was a 3-month contract, and usually a specialty you didn't want to be in. And it was highly abusive, so your superiors could do anything with you. I mean, hit you. I mean, throw knives at you. And it was completely okay, because you were happy you had a position as a doctor. And so I realized very quickly into medical school that that wasn't really the thing that I wanted, being abused like that. So I started orienting towards other possibilities, and then I got a scholarship to move to France. So I did medical school there for 2 years, and it was the same thing. They had more of a physician shortage, but it was so highly abusive in medical school. I mean, there was that one surgical department where every single day all the grand chef, professeur had to say were mean things, calling people words, yelling at students and residents in the OR. It was interesting, and then eventually I was invited to study in the States, moved to California, and it was a little bit similar there. I was there only for a short time, and I was under some protection from really great people there. Wasn't really that bad. But then I got into residency in the States, and there we go again. I mean, I remember one ER doc, he always hit me on the shoulder when I gave the wrong answer, or they were like, we had 6 main faculty, 3 of which were completely burned out themselves, completely, I mean, but they liked what they were doing, but they couldn't do it anymore. And so like, they felt, and it seemed like they didn't feel like they were doing a good job if the resident wasn't crying. Then the resident had not understood. There was every day there was a resident crying, but we're not talking about 3-year-old children that not getting that chocolate. You know, it was about, they were adult, mature people, very bright. I mean, the residents, I went to residency, but they were all very bright people. But there they were crying because they didn't know the answer for some silly question. I don't know what it was about, or they missed something completely irrelevant. And I realized how much abuse there was, you know, throughout. I mean, you had to be self-abusive in order to get your MCATs going, to get into medical school, go through medical school, get into residency, get a good residency, go through residency. It's all abusive. It's all a huge. I mean, you have to be completely self-neglected, I realized I didn't want that, yet I needed, you know, the board certification. I was only 3 years, and I graduated from that. And then around that time, at the end of residency, I met Pamela.